The alarm screamed through the research ship New Seoul as Dr. Hana Kim rushed down the narrow corridor. Her boots made quick tapping sounds on the metal floor as she hurried toward the bridge. She had been studying plant samples in her lab when the emergency signal started. "What did we find?" Hana asked as she stepped onto the bridge. Captain Jiho Lee stood at the main screen, his face serious. The screen showed empty space filled with stars, but Hana could see something dark floating in the distance. "Wreckage," Captain Lee said. "Big ship. Looks like it's been drifting for months. The computer says it might be a prison transport vessel." Dr. Minho Park looked up from his station. He was the ship's security officer and always worried about danger. "Could be a trap," he said. "Pirates sometimes use fake wreckage to catch ships like ours." Hana moved closer to the screen. She could see twisted metal and broken hull pieces, spinning slowly in the darkness. "Are there any life signs?" The ship's computer made soft beeping sounds as it scanned the wreckage. "One life form detected," the computer announced in its calm voice. "Large, non-human. Vital signs are very weak." Captain Lee rubbed his chin. "Could be dangerous. We should report this to Earth Command and move on." But Hana was already studying the readings. Something about the life signs made her curious. "The creature is dying," she said. "Look at these numbers. Heart rate is too slow. Body temperature is dropping." "Good," Minho said. "Less chance it will try to eat us." Hana gave him a sharp look. "We're scientists. Our job is to study alien life, not let it die." "Our job is to stay alive," Minho replied. Captain Lee thought, for a moment. "We'll take a look, but we stay ready to run if things go wrong." The New Seoul moved slowly toward the wreckage. As they got closer, Hana could see the destroyed ship was huge. It had been built like a fortress with thick walls and small windows, perfect for keeping prisoners inside. "There." She pointed at a section that was still mostly complete. "The life form is in that part." They put on their spacesuits and took a small shuttle to the wreckage. Hana carried her medical scanner and emergency supplies. Minho brought weapons. Captain Lee brought a cutting torch to get through any locked doors. The inside of the wrecked ship was dark and cold. Their helmet lights made strange shadows on the broken walls. They followed the life sign readings through twisted corridors filled with floating debris. "This way," Hana said, checking her scanner. The readings were getting stronger. They found a massive door made of thick metal. It had bars across it like a prison cell, but much larger. The door was bent and partially open from the crash. "Whatever is in there is big," Captain Lee said. They squeezed through the opening and found themselves in a huge room. Their lights revealed something that made them all stop and stare. A creature lay curled in the corner. It was enormous, at least 20 feet long, with a body like a giant snake but thicker. Its skin was covered in scales that looked like dark crystals. Each scale was the size of Hana's hand. The creature had 4 powerful legs ending in claws that could easily tear through metal. But what caught Hana's attention were its eyes. They were large and intelligent, glowing with a dim red light like dying embers. The creature watched them but did not move to attack. "It's beautiful," Hana whispered. "It's terrifying," Minho said, raising his weapon. "Don't," Hana said quickly. "Look at it, really look." The creature was clearly starving. Its crystal scales were dull and some had fallen off. Its breathing was slow and labored. Around the room, Hana could see empty food containers and a dry water system. "How long has it been trapped here?" she asked. Captain Lee checked his readings. "The wreckage has been drifting for at least 4 months. 4 months without proper food or water," Hana said. She felt sorry for the creature. "No wonder it's dying." The creature made a low sound like distant thunder. It was not aggressive. It sounded almost sad. "We should go," Minho said. "This thing could be dangerous." "It's too weak to be dangerous," Hana said. She moved closer despite Minho's protests. The creature watched her but did not move. Hana activated her medical scanner. The readings were worse than she thought. Its body is eating itself to stay alive. It will die within days without help. "That's not our problem," Minho said. But Hana was already thinking. She had emergency food rations in her pack, high-protein bars that could keep a human alive for days. She also had water recycling tablets. "What are you doing?" Captain Lee asked as Hana opened her pack. "What any decent person would do," she said. She took out a protein bar and broke it into pieces. The creature's glowing eyes followed her movements. She tossed a piece toward it. The creature sniffed the food carefully. Then it ate the piece in one quick bite. It made another low sound, this time different. Almost like it was saying thank you. "Hana, this is crazy," Minho said. "That thing could have torn your arm off." "But it didn't," Hana said. She threw another piece of food. The creature ate it eagerly. Over the next hour, Hana fed the creature all of her emergency rations. She also set up a small water recycler to give it clean water. The creature drank gratefully, making soft rumbling sounds. As it ate and drank, the creature seemed to grow stronger. Its eyes became brighter. It even tried to move closer to Hana, though it was still very weak. "We need to go," Captain Lee said. "Our shuttle only has so much air." Hana nodded but looked back at the creature. "I'll come back tomorrow with more food." The creature seemed to understand. It made that thankful sound again and watched them leave. Back on the new Sol, Minho was not happy. "You just fed a dangerous alien predator. What if it gets strong enough to break out of that wreckage?" "Then maybe it will have a chance to live," Hana said. She didn't sleep well that night. She kept thinking about those intelligent red eyes and the grateful sounds the creature made. Tomorrow she would bring more food. Maybe she could even figure out how to communicate with it. She had no idea that this simple act of kindness would change everything. Hana returned to the wreckage the next morning with 2 bags full of food and medical supplies. Captain Lee had agreed to let her continue helping the creature, but Minho came along to keep watch. He still thought it was dangerous. When they entered the prison cell, the creature was sitting up. Its crystal scales looked brighter than yesterday and its red eyes were more alert. It made that low rumbling sound when it saw Hana. "It remembers you," Captain Lee said with surprise. Hana smiled and unpacked the food. She had brought different types of protein bars, some dried fruits, and even a few pieces of real meat from the ship's storage. The creature ate everything she offered, but it was careful and gentle when taking food from her hands. "Look at how it acts," Hana said. "It's not acting like a wild animal. It's thinking about what it does." After eating, the creature did something unexpected. It moved to the far side of the cell and used one of its large claws to scratch marks into the metal wall. The marks looked like symbols or letters. "Is it trying to write something?" Captain Lee asked. Dr. Sunny Choi had joined them today. She was the ship's language expert and had brought recording equipment. "I think it is," she said excitedly. "These marks have patterns. Look, some of them repeat." The creature made more sounds while it scratched the symbols, long, musical tones that seemed to have meaning. Sunny recorded everything. "Can you play back what it just said?" Hana asked. Sunny played the recording. When the creature heard its own voice, it became very excited. It made the same sounds again, pointing at different symbols on the wall. "It's teaching us," Sunny said in amazement. "It's showing us what each sound means." Over the next several hours, they learned that the creature could understand much more than they had thought. It pointed to itself and made a complex sound that was like thunder mixed with singing. Then it pointed to Hana and made a questioning tone. "I think it wants to know my name," Hana said. She pointed to herself and said, clearly, "Hana." The creature tried to repeat the name. It came out as a deep musical version that sounded beautiful in its own way. Then it pointed to itself again and repeated its own name sound. "That's too hard for us to say," Hana said. "Can we call you something easier?" The creature seemed to think about this. Then it made different sounds while pointing at symbols on the wall. Sunny worked with her computer to analyze the patterns. "I think it's saying something like Stormbringer or Battle Singer," Sunny said. "The sounds it makes are similar to words about weather and fighting." "Stormbringer," Hana said, looking at the creature. "Is that good?" The creature bobbed its massive head up and down. It had learned that this meant yes from watching them. As the days passed, Hana visited Stormbringer every morning and evening. Each time the creature grew stronger and more talkative. Sunny had figured out about 50 different words and sounds. They learned that Stormbringer's people were called Vorthak, and that they had once lived among the stars like humans did. But there was sadness in Stormbringer's voice when it talked about its people. Through simple words and pictures scratched on the walls, it told them a terrible story. The hegemony had come to the Vorthak worlds like locusts. The hegemony was a group of alien races that conquered other worlds and made slaves of everyone. They had powerful ships and weapons that the Vorthak could not fight against. They took my people, Stormbringer said in its mix of sounds and simple words it had learned. Made us fight for their entertainment. I was last of my family blood. Hana felt sick when she understood what had happened. The hegemony had destroyed Stormbringer's entire civilization and forced the survivors to fight as gladiators for entertainment. The ship you were on, she said. It was taking you to fight? Stormbringer nodded sadly. To die for their pleasure, but ship was attacked. Pirates wanted cargo, not prisoners. I was forgotten in the crash. So you've been trapped here for months, Captain Lee said. That's horrible. Stormbringer looked at Hana with its glowing red eyes. You gave food when you had no reason. You could have left me to die. Why did you help? Hana thought about how to answer in simple words. Because it was right. You were suffering and I could help. Your people do this? Help strangers who are different? Some do, Hana said honestly. Not all, but some of us try to help when we can. Stormbringer was quiet for a long time. Then it said, I owe you life debt. My people understand this. When someone saves your life, you must repay with your own life if needed. You don't owe me anything, Hana said. I helped because I wanted to. That makes debt stronger, Stormbringer said. You helped with no thought of payment. This is greatest gift. On the 5th day, their peaceful routine was broken. The new soul's alarm started screaming. Captain Lee's radio crackled to life. Captain, we have 3 hegemony patrol ships approaching fast, came the voice of the bridge officer. They're demanding to board us. Everyone looked at Stormbringer. The creature's eyes went wide with fear and anger. They hunt for me, it said. They will recapture me or kill me, and they will punish you for helping. Hana's mind raced. The hegemony was known for being cruel to anyone who interfered with their operations. If they found out the new soul had been helping an escaped prisoner, her entire crew could be arrested or worse. We need to get back to the ship, Captain Lee said. What about Stormbringer? Hana asked. I will surrender, the creature said sadly. I will not let them hurt you for my sake. No, Hana said firmly. There has to be another way. She looked around the wrecked prison cell. In the corner was a maintenance hatch that led to the ship's escape pod bay. Most of the pods had been destroyed in the crash, but maybe one still worked. Can you fit in a small escape pod? She asked Stormbringer. The creature looked at the hatch. Maybe, but where would I go? Hana pulled out her navigation device and showed Stormbringer the star charts. Here, she pointed to a region marked as neutral space. No one controls this area. You could hide there. You would help me escape? Yes, Hana said without hesitation. Captain, Lee looked worried. Hana, if they find out we helped a prisoner escape, we could all be in serious trouble. Then we make sure they don't find out, Hana said. She was already helping Stormbringer move toward the maintenance hatch. The creature was still weak, but it was much stronger than when they first found it. It squeezed through the hatch with effort and made its way to the escape pod bay. One pod was still working. Stormbringer barely fit inside, but it managed to curl up in the small space. Thank you, it said to Hana. I will not forget this kindness. Someday I will repay this debt. Just survive, Hana said. That's all the payment I need. She programmed the pod with coordinates to neutral space and enough supplies to keep Stormbringer alive for the journey. Then she sealed the pod and launched it quietly from the back of the wreckage where the hegemony ships couldn't see it. By the time the hegemony patrol arrived, Hana and her team were back on the new Sol. They told the hegemony officers that they had found only dead prisoners in the wreckage. The officers searched but found nothing alive. As the patrol ships left, Hana watched through the viewport as a small dot of light disappeared into the distance. Somewhere out there, Stormbringer was free. 10 years had passed since Hana last saw Stormbringer. She often wondered if the great creature had survived his journey to neutral space. Sometimes she would look up at the night sky from her apartment in Seoul and think about those glowing, red eyes and the grateful sounds he had made. Life had changed a lot for Hana. She was no longer traveling between the stars on research ships. Instead, she worked at the Seoul Institute for Xenological Studies, teaching young scientists about alien life forms. She had written several papers about her discoveries, though she never mentioned Stormbringer. That secret stayed locked in her heart. 2 years ago, she had married Won-ho Nam, a kind man who also studied alien cultures. He worked as a translator for the Earth government, helping humans communicate with the few alien species that traded with Earth peacefully. Won-ho knew about Stormbringer because Hana had told him everything when they got engaged. He was proud of what she had done. Their daughter So-min was now 3 years old. She was a curious child who loved to hear stories about space and alien worlds. Every night, Hana would tell her bedtime stories about friendly aliens and brave explorers. She never told her about the scary parts of space travel. On this particular evening, Hana was cooking dinner while Won-ho played with So-min in the living room. The news was playing on their wall screen, but Hana was not really listening. The news was usually boring reports about trade agreements and colony development. But then something made her stop stirring the soup and look up at the screen. Reports are coming in from the outer colonies about increased hegemony activity, the news reporter said. Several merchant ships have been stopped and searched in the past month. Colony governors are expressing concern about possible expansion of hegemony territory. Hana felt her stomach tighten. The hegemony, she had not heard that name in years, but it still made her afraid. Won-ho came into the kitchen carrying So-min. "Did you hear that?" he asked. "Yes," Hana said quietly. "I hoped we would never have to worry about them." The hegemony had been expanding their territory for decades, but they had always stayed far away from human space. Earth and its colonies were considered too small and weak to be worth bothering with. Most humans barely knew the hegemony existed, but things were changing. Human colonies were growing larger and more successful. Earth had developed new technologies that other species wanted. The hegemony was starting to notice humanity. Over the next few weeks, the news got worse. Hegemony ships were seen near the borders of human space. They were not attacking yet, but they were clearly studying human defenses and counting human ships. "They are testing us," Won-ho said one night as they watched the news together, "seeing how strong our military is." "And what did they find?" Hana asked, though she already knew the answer. "That we are not very strong at all," Won-ho said sadly. Earth had only a small space fleet. Most human ships were built for exploration and trade, not fighting. The colonies had some defense platforms, but nothing that could stop a serious military attack. The hegemony had crushed dozens of alien civilizations. Their ships were powerful and their armies were huge. If they decided to conquer human space, there would be little that Earth could do to stop them. Hana started having nightmares about Stormbringer's people. She remembered how he had described the hegemony attack on the Vorthak worlds. Ships falling from the sky like burning rain. Cities destroyed in minutes. Families torn apart as the survivors were taken as slaves. Would the same thing happen to humanity? 3 months later, Hana's worst fears began to come true. The news reported that a hegemony fleet had been spotted just 2 star systems away from New Seoul Prime, the largest human colony. The fleet was huge, with over 100 warships. "This is just a patrol," the Earth government announced. "There is no immediate threat to human colonies." But Hana knew better. She had studied the hegemony for years after her encounter with Stormbringer. She knew how they operated. First came the patrols to study their target. Then came the demands for tribute and submission. Finally came the invasion. The Earth government tried to negotiate. They sent diplomats to meet with hegemony representatives. The meetings did not go well. "Humans will submit to hegemony rule," the alien diplomats declared. Your species will provide workers for our projects. Your worlds will become part of our territory. Resistance is pointless. Earth refused to surrender. The human colonies declared they would fight for their freedom. But everyone knew it was hopeless. The hegemony had ships and weapons that humanity could not match. Hana's parents lived on New Sol Prime. She tried to convince them to come back to Earth, but they refused to leave their home. "We built this colony with our own hands," her father said during their video call. "We will not run away from bullies." "Papa, this is not about running away," Hana said. "This is about staying alive. The hegemony does not show mercy. Then we will show them that humans do not give up easily," her mother added. Hana wanted to tell them about Stormbringer, about what the hegemony had done to his people, but the video calls were monitored by the government. She could not risk revealing the secret she had kept for 10 years. As the weeks passed, more hegemony fleets appeared near human space. They surrounded the colonies like wolves circling sheep. Earth's small fleet tried to patrol the borders, but they were outnumbered 50-1. The end came quickly when it finally arrived. Hana was at work when the alarm started screaming across Seoul. She ran to her office window and looked up at the sky. Dark shapes were moving across the blue afternoon sky. Hegemony ships, hundreds of them, blotting out the sun. The invasion had begun. Her phone rang. It was Wonho calling from the government building where he worked. "Hana, get Soman and go to the emergency shelters," he said. His voice was shaking. "The hegemony fleets are attacking all the colonies at the same time. New Sol Prime has already fallen." Hana's heart stopped. "My parents?" "I don't know," Wonho said. "All communication with the colonies has been cut off." Through her office window, Hana could see hegemony landing ships descending toward the city. In the distance, explosions lit up the horizon where Earth's defense platforms were being destroyed. She ran home to get Somin. The little girl was scared by all the noise and sirens, but she did not understand what was happening. "Mama, why are the pretty ships in the sky?" Somin asked as they hurried toward the nearest shelter. Hana looked up at the hegemony vessels. To a child, they might look pretty with their strange designs and glowing lights. But Hana knew they carried death and slavery. "They are not pretty ships, sweetheart," she said. "They are very bad ships." In the shelter, hundreds of people crowded together in fear. The lights flickered as explosions shook the ground above them. Children cried while their parents tried to comfort them. An old man sitting near Hana was listening to a small radio. The news was terrible. Colony after colony was falling to the hegemony forces. Earth's fleet had been destroyed in the first hour of fighting. The planet's government had gone into hiding. "It's over," someone whispered. "We lost." Hana held Somin close and thought about Stormbringer. Was he still alive somewhere out in the galaxy? Did he know that his old enemies were now destroying the people who had shown him kindness? She closed her eyes and made a silent wish to the stars. If Stormbringer was out there, if he remembered her, maybe somehow he could help. But that was just a desperate dream. The hegemony had won. Humanity was alone and defeated. Above them, alien soldiers marched through the streets of Seoul, beginning the process of turning Earth into another conquered world in their vast empire. 3 weeks had passed since the hegemony conquered Earth. The world had become a prison. Alien soldiers walked the streets of every city, watching the humans with cold eyes. Giant processing centers had been built where people were sorted like cattle. The young and strong were sent to work camps. The smart ones were forced to operate human technology for their new masters. Hana sat in her small apartment with Somin on her lap. They had been lucky so far. The hegemony had not come for them yet. But every day, more families disappeared. Every day, the alien ships took more humans away to unknown places. Wonho had not come home for 5 days. He had been taken to work at the government building, translating human languages for the hegemony commanders. Hana did not know if she would ever see him again. "Mama, when is Papa coming home?" Somin asked for the 100th time. "Soon, baby," Hana lied. "Papa is working to help people." Through the window, she could see the massive hegemony ships floating above Seoul like dark clouds. Their weapons were always pointed down at the city. ready to destroy anyone who tried to fight back. The news on the emergency channels was terrible. New Sol Prime had been completely destroyed as an example to other colonies. Millions of humans had been killed or taken as slaves. Hana still did not know what had happened to her parents. Earth's government had surrendered completely. There was no resistance, no hope of rescue. The human military had been wiped out in the first day of fighting. No other alien species would help humanity because they were all afraid of the hegemony too. On the fourth week, soldiers came to Hana's building. They were not hegemony aliens, but humans who now worked for the conquerors. These humans wore special uniforms and carried alien weapons. All women with children must report for processing, one of them announced through a speaker. Bring only what you can carry. Hana's heart sank. She had heard about the processing centers. Families were separated. There, children were sent to special camps where they would be trained to serve the hegemony. Mothers were sent to work in factories or mines. She packed a small bag with Soman's favorite toys and some food. Soman did not understand what was happening, but she could feel her mother's fear. "Are we going on a trip, Mama?" she asked. "Yes, sweetheart," Hana said, trying to keep her voice steady. "We are going on a trip." They joined hundreds of other families in the street. Hegemony guards herded them toward large transport vehicles. The vehicles looked like moving prisons with small windows and locked doors. As they walked, Hana looked up at the sky one last time. She thought about Stormbringer and wondered where he was now. Had he found other survivors of his people? Was he living peacefully somewhere among the stars? She hoped he was happy. At least her kindness had saved one life, even if she could not save her own family. The transport vehicle was crowded and uncomfortable. Salman cried as they drove through the ruined city toward the processing center. Other children cried too while their mothers tried to comfort them. The processing center was a nightmare. Thousands of humans waited in long lines while hegemony computers scanned them and sorted them into groups. Families were torn apart as officials decided who would go where. When Hana's turn came, an alien scanner looked at her and Somin. The creature had multiple eyes and spoke through a translation device. "You have scientific training," it said after scanning Hana's information. "You will work in the research facilities. The child will go to education camps." "Please," Hana begged, "let me keep my daughter. I will work harder if she stays with me." "Families make workers less efficient," the alien replied coldly. "The child will be better trained without emotional attachments." Guards moved to take Salman away. The little girl screamed and reached for her mother. Hana tried to hold on to her, but more guards grabbed her arms. "Mama!" Salman cried as they carried her toward a different transport. "I love you," Hana shouted. "Remember that I love you." Then Salman was gone, loaded into a vehicle with dozens of other crying children. Hana fell to her knees and wept. Everything she cared about had been taken away. But as she cried, something strange happened. The lights in the processing center began to flicker. The hegemony computers started making warning sounds. Outside, explosions echoed across the sky. "What is happening?" one of the guards asked. The alien scanner checked its communication device. Its multiple eyes went wide with what looked like fear. "Unknown ships approaching the system," it said. "Very large. Not responding to communications." More explosions shook the building. Through the windows, Hana could see bright flashes of light in the sky. The hegemony ships above the city were firing their weapons at something. Suddenly, the emergency speakers throughout the processing center crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect human language, but it was deep and musical like thunder. "Hegemony forces," the voice said. "You have taken what does not belong to you. You have harmed those who showed kindness to the forgotten. This will not be tolerated." Hana's heart stopped. She knew that voice. It was impossible, but she knew it. "Release the humans immediately," the voice continued. "Leave this system and never return. This is your only warning." The alien guards were panicking now. They spoke rapidly in their own language while checking their weapons and communication devices. "Who is attacking us?" one of them demanded. The scanner worked frantically at its computer. "Ships are too large to identify. Energy signatures are unknown. They are not using any technology in our databases." Through the windows, Hana could see new shapes moving across the sky. These ships were different from the hegemony vessels. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time, made of what looked like living crystal that glowed with inner light. One of the crystal ships descended toward the processing center. It was enormous, easily 10 times larger than the biggest hegemony vessel. As it came closer, Hana could see intricate patterns carved into its hull that looked like scales. The voice spoke again, and this time Hana was certain. "I am Stormbringer, Warsinger of the Vorthak, keeper of ancient debts. 10 years ago, a human showed mercy to one who was dying. Today, that debt will be repaid with interest." The alien guards were running now, abandoning their posts and fleeing toward their own ships. But as they ran, beams of crystal light shot down from the Vorthak vessels, destroying every hegemony ship they touched. The processing center's doors burst open, but instead of more guards, huge figures entered the building. They moved on 4 legs and had crystal scales that caught the light like jewels. Their red eyes glowed with intelligent fire. Vorthak warriors. The humans in the processing center screamed and ran in terror, but the Vorthak ignored most of them. They moved through the crowd with purpose, searching for something specific. One of the warriors approached Hana. It was smaller than the others, but still massive. When it spoke, the voice was familiar. "Hana Kim," it said in that deep musical, Adhon. "The dead is remembered. You fed the starving. Now the starving feed you freedom." Hana stared up at the creature. "Stormbringer, is it really you?" "I promised I would not forget," the Vorthak said. "I have brought my people home from the edge of extinction. We have grown strong again, and now we repay the kindness shown to us in our darkest hour." Around them, other Vorthak warriors were freeing the human prisoners and destroying hegemony equipment. In the sky above, the crystal ships were hunting down every alien vessel trying to escape. "My daughter," Hana said desperately. "They took my daughter." Stormbringer's eyes blazed brighter. "Tell me where they took her. No human child will remain in hegemony hands while the Vorthak draw breath." For the first time in weeks, Hana allowed herself to hope. The beast she had fed 10 years ago had returned, and it had brought an army. The battle for Earth lasted 3 days, but it was not really a battle. It was a hunt. The Vorthak fleet moved through space like living nightmares made of crystal and fire. Their ships did not just attack the hegemony vessels. They stalked them. Every alien ship that tried to run was chased down and destroyed. Every escape pod was found and eliminated. The Vorthak showed no mercy to those who had shown no mercy to others. Hana watched from the bridge of Stormbringer's flagship as the crystal ships tore through the hegemony forces above Earth. The alien fleet that had seemed so powerful just days ago now looked like frightened children running from monsters. "Your people fight like they are angry," Hana said to Stormbringer. The great Vorthak turned his glowing red eyes toward her. "We are angry," he said. "The hegemony destroyed our worlds. They made slaves of our children. They would have done the same to your people. This anger has been growing for 10 years. Through the viewing windows, Hana could see Vorthak boarding parties attacking hegemony command ships. The crystal warriors moved through the alien vessels like flowing water, unstoppable and deadly. They were not just fighting. They were taking revenge for decades of suffering. "But you came here for me," Hana said. "How did you even know Earth was being attacked?" Stormbringer made that rumbling sound she remembered from long ago. The Vorthak have many friends now. Word travels fast when the hegemony moves against a new target. When I heard they had attacked the humans, I knew the debt had to be paid. On the second day of fighting, Stormbringer kept his promise about finding Soman. His warriors had tracked down the transport ships carrying human children to the education camps. The rescue was swift and brutal. Any hegemony guard who tried to stop them was destroyed without question. When they brought Soman to the flagship, she ran into her mother's arms, crying. "Mama, I was so scared," she sobbed. "The bad alien said I would never see you again." "You are safe now, baby," Hana said, holding her daughter tight. "The good aliens came to help us." Salmon looked up at Stormbringer with wide eyes. The massive creature lowered his great head down to her level. "Are you a good alien?" she asked in her small voice. "I try to be," Stormbringer said gently. "Your mother taught me how." Over the next 2 days, more rescue ships arrived carrying humans from all over Earth and the colonies. The Vorthak had not just come to fight. They had come to save everyone they could find. Wonho was found in a work camp on the other side of Earth. He was thin and tired but alive. When he saw Hana and Soman on the rescue ship, he cried with relief. "I thought I would never see you again," he said, hugging them both. "A friend kept his promise," Hana said, looking toward Stormbringer. But the rescues were not the end of the Vorthak mission. On the 3rd day, Stormbringer received a message that made his eyes burn brighter with anger. "What is it?" Hana asked. "Hegemony reinforcements are coming," he said. 3 fleets. They think they can retake Earth with more ships. Can you stop them?" Stormbringer's laugh was like distant thunder. "We have been waiting for this chance. For 10 years. Let them come." The hegemony reinforcements arrived expecting to find their occupation forces in control of Earth. Instead, they found a graveyard of twisted metal floating in space where their ships used to be. The new fleets were much larger than the first invasion force. Hundreds of warships spread out across the solar system, ready to destroy anyone who opposed them. But they had never fought the Vorthak before. The crystal ships moved like dancers in space, flowing around the hegemony vessels and striking from impossible angles. Their weapons did not just destroy enemy ships, they tore them apart piece by piece, making sure everyone could see what happened to those who enslaved innocent people. "The hegemony fights with fear," Stormbringer explained to Hana as they watched the battle. "They make others afraid so they will surrender without fighting. But fear does not work against those who have already lost everything." The Vorthak had indeed lost everything once. Their worlds were gone. Their families were dead. They had nothing left to lose and everything to gain by fighting. That made them more dangerous than any weapon the hegemony possessed. By the end of the 3rd day, not a single hegemony ship remained in human space. The alien empire had lost over 1,000 vessels and tens of thousands of soldiers. The survivors fled toward the galactic core, carrying news of their defeat. But Stormbringer was not finished. He gathered the Vorthak fleet and prepared to chase the fleeing enemies. "Where are you going?" Hana asked. "To end this," he said. "The hegemony will try again if we let them escape. They will gather more ships and come back stronger. We must make sure they never threaten your people again. But that could take years." "Then it takes years," Stormbringer said simply. "A debt of life is not paid with half measures." Over the following months, reports came back from across the galaxy. The Vorthak fleet was hunting down hegemony forces everywhere they found them. Slave worlds were being liberated. Prison ships were being destroyed. The alien empire that had terrorized dozens of species for decades was finally being destroyed. Other species that had been conquered by the hegemony began to rebel. With the Vorthak leading the fight, they had hope again. The galaxy was rising up against its oppressors. A year later, Stormbringer returned to Earth. His ship landed in the field outside Seoul, where a monument was being built to remember the invasion and liberation. Hana came to meet him with her family. Soman was now 4 years old and no longer afraid of the great crystal creature. "Uncle Storm," she called out, running toward him. It was the name she had given him because Stormbringer was too hard for her to say. The Vorthak warrior gently touched the little girl with one massive claw. "Hello, small human, you have grown." "Mama says you saved us," Soman said. "Is that true?" "Your mother saved me first," Stormbringer replied. "I was just returning the favor." Hana looked up at her old friend. He looked different now, larger, stronger, covered in scars from many battles. But his eyes still held the same intelligence and gratitude she remembered. "Is it over?" she asked. "Is the hegemony finished?" "Their empire is broken," Stormbringer said. "Their fleets are scattered. It will take them generations to recover if they ever do. Your people are safe." "And your people?" Stormbringer's eyes brightened. We have found new worlds to call home. We are rebuilding. The Vorthak will survive and grow strong again. As they talked, human officials arrived to discuss the new alliance between Earth and the Vorthak. There would be trade agreements, technology sharing, and mutual defense pacts. Humanity now had powerful friends among the stars. But for Hana, the politics did not matter as much as the simple fact that her act of kindness had echoed across the galaxy and returned as salvation for her entire species. That evening, as Stormbringer prepared to leave Earth again, Soman asked him a question. "Will you come back and visit us?" "Always," the great creature promised. The Vorthak do not forget their friends. As his crystal ship rose into the night sky, Hana held her daughter close and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the beast she had fed was keeping watch, making sure that no one would ever threaten the people who had shown him mercy. The debt had been paid in full, but the friendship would last forever.